Hello everyone, my name is Yuri Kasdorp from Mouse, and we are back with a track guide. And this time we are at Road Atlanta, the Ferrari 296. And this track has it all in my opinion. This track is my favorite track in iRacing. It's amazing to Hotlap, it's amazing to race. You don't want to miss out on this one, so without further ado, let's get into the track guide. Right, so we are under the back straight. Ferrari 296 this time. I think it's the first time that this car is actually like a good viable option this season because of the curbs. And there's going to be a lot of curbs, a lot of corners flying at us really quick when we start the lap. So strap in and let's go for a ride around my favorite track on iRacing. Turn 1, we want to open up as much as we can from the left side. Get the car to the inside. Get the speed up. Get the car lined up for turn 3. Should be almost flat down the hill here. Tiny lift to get the car rotated sometimes. Run it wide on turn 5. And brake just before the second white line. Try to set up for a good exit. I got the whole back straight. The reason why maybe you want to trim it down the rear wing a bit, or set up a good overtake in the race. I want to be looking for the first white line, brake just before that. I can cut the inside quite a lot there to set up for a good exit. And then we got flat out to the line, and that's the lap around Road Atlanta. Right, so here we are starting the lap. And we're coming from the left side. And we want to use this bit of road here on the left side. The entry road, entry turn 1. And the way we want to use that is to not run completely parallel to the white line, but we run a bit off of that, and then we run in a straight line over the grass until we are there. So we want to run in a straight line. You don't want to turn here, and you especially don't want to brake on the grass. If that's a bit too risky for you, you can just follow the white line and enter the corner from there. But as you can see, if we do this and we brake immediately when we hit the entry road, we have about half a car width on the left side that we can play with, that we have better, like wider entry into turn 1. So the moment we hit the road, the entry road, we want to go on the brakes, just tiny bit, and we want to make sure we hit the apex, and we hit the apex where the curb edges the most here on the inside. And then after that, the car gets pushed into the road because we're going uphill. So you can go quite fast here. Then we got to, I think, well, it's the trickiest part of the track, but one of the most tricky parts on iRacing, because everything here is blind. And it's very important that you hit your markers here. So what I try to do is, if you look from the cockpit cam, you see these two lines on the road, and I try to cross the left one of these two lines at the top of the hill. So at the top of the hill, I try to cross the left one, and that way I end up on the curb on the left side here, which is where you want to end up. And this curb here, we want to follow the whole curb. So we want to be on the curb, try to brake as much in the straight line as you can, and then by the time we go off the curb, we want to start turning in for turn 3. And if you do that the right way, you hit the curb on the inside nicely, you don't get the off track, and you can gain a lot of speed by jumping correctly over this inside curb here. And the way to set that up again is lots of practice, because again, it is completely blind. But you want to try to get to this inside curb here from the middle of the track, then brake in a straight line, and when you go off the curb, you start turning in for turn 3. And then you want to hit turn 3 like this, left side barely stays within the yellow lines it is on this track. Right side jumps over it, and if you do that correctly, the car lands, and the Ferrari handles the bump quite well there, and you can immediately be on throttle, and you keep the throttle through turn 4. Then the downhill here, if you manage to open up a bit more to the left side, this can be flat, but because we took turn 4 quite fast, we have a tiny lift here, and the tiny lift is not to lose speed, but it's to get the front end to grip up a bit and stop understeering. Then this is completely flat, and what you want to do here is we want to look at the curb on entry turn 5, and we again want to run straight over this. That means we don't want to run too wide here, we want to keep it tight on the left side, and then try to hit the curb just after this big bump at the start. So you see this bump here on the right side, we want to avoid that and run over it from about where this yellow starts here on the right side. And then we want to start braking just before the curb and brake as much in the straight line as we can. Meaning we're really close to the grass here on the right side, but we want to try to brake in a straight line. And it shows that I'm going over the grass here, but because most of my tires are still on the curb, the car still grips up. And then we go into the corner here. Very tricky as well. You want to reduce the brake when you go off the curb. Otherwise, the car tends to lock up the minute you hit the ground. And if it does that, you're going to understeer. So you want to make sure to reduce the brake the minute you go off the curb, but keep a tiny bit on, otherwise the car understeers as well. And then you have two choices for turn 5. Either run over the inside curb completely, or just about miss it. And I just about missed it on this one, and it allows you to carry a bit more speed through the exit, a bit less speed on the entry. Then on the exit here, you want to hit this curb as straight as you can, and make sure you can go. If you clip the gravel here, that your car's straight. If it's not straight, it will pull to the right side here, if you're still turning. And then we can use all of this exit road here without there being an off track. You can even use the curb here on the right side without there being an off track. It's one of the really nice things on this track, I think, that you can use all the road available here. And it's the same for everyone, and makes for a really cool experience. Then on the downhill, I'll look at the second white line, and I brake just before that, which ends up being about the middle. I bet if you look from the outside cam. Yep. Down 2 gears, and make sure that you end up on the left side curb here. The minute we end up on the left side curb here, we try to brake as much in a straight line as we can. Bring the car over to the right side and try to have it straightened up as much as you can before you hit the apex, because we have a very long back straight coming after this. Meaning that we try to have the car turned mostly by the time we get to the apex, so that when we get to the apex, we can go back on the power. Use the curb on the left side a bit for that. And then easy flat, of course, everywhere here. And then we get to one of the points on iRacing, I think, as well, where you can brake the hardest, because we go from a downhill to flat and the car gets pushed into the ground. We want to brake just before the white line here. And what I like to do here as well is brake not parallel to the white line on the right side, but brake in a straight line to the curb on the right side. And that allows me to open up the corner a tiny bit more. And you can see as well, we can brake almost max depending on, of course, what brake cylinders you're using. But compared to other tracks, we can brake a lot here. Brake straight line to the curb, and then we can cut the inside quite a lot here. The right side tires can even be a bit inside the white line, as long as you turn in late. If you turn in early here and have a line like this, which you don't want to do for turn 2 anyway, or the second part of the chicane anyways, but if you turn in too early, you can't cut as much here. So we want to come out from the outside quite late and then set up for the right-hander here. So as you can see, we're exiting the corner pretty much on the left black line. That means we have 2/3 of the track to go almost flat on the right-hander up the hill and try to get a good exit. And that chicane is all about setting up a good exit on the start-finish straight. And that's the lap around Rotterdam. Alright, so there we go. That's how we drive around and on the curbs everywhere around this track and use it to our advantage. Ferrari drives really nice around here. If you've been waiting to drive the car, this is a good week to do it. Lot of fun to drive. As I said in the intro, if you have the opportunity to, I would recommend driving this week. It's my favorite track, and I think it's for a good reason. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will see everyone next week.